The World Breastfeeding Week, celebrated from the 1st to the 7th of August every year, supported by the World Health Organization, UNICEF, in many ministries of health and civil society partners, aims at providing strategic opportunities to advocate for essential maternity rights that supports breastfeeding. Its celebration this 2023 is under the theme, Let's Make Breastfeeding and Work to champion best practices for workplace-related breastfeeding support.
Okay, breastfeeding is very beneficial to both the mother and the child. I'll first of all start with the benefits to the child. Breastfeeding has a lot of antibodies for the child, and which helps the child to have an active immune system to fight diseases. And so women have to breastfeed their children exclusively so that the children can have a strong immune system to fight diseases. There's a breast milk, the first breast milk that flows of a woman's breast. We call it colostrum. It flows from the 3rd to the 5th day after birth. This breast milk is thick and yellow in color, but some women used to want to throw it, but instead of conserving it. That breast milk has a lot of antibodies. It has immunoglobulin A, which provides antibodies for the baby that will protect the child throughout his life. Breastfeeding also has the right amount of nutrients, water, calcium, minerals that can help the baby in his development. Also, breastfeeding promotes intellectual development, intelligent quotient. Babies who are breastfed have a lot of, their brain is more active than babies fed on formula. Breastfeeding is very, very good for the child's digestive system. That is, the breast milk is suitable for this baby's fragile digestive system. Breastfeeding also has a lot of impact to play in the baby's weight gain and development. Throughout the life of a baby, the baby has the right proportion of nutrients he needs. As for the benefits of the mother loses 500 calories that she gained during pregnancy, and this helps the mother to lose the weight that she gains during pregnancy so that she will be healthy. Also, breast milk is readily available and also cost effective because you don't have to buy the breast milk. And then to the mother, breastfeeding helps to strengthen the baby-mother bond by making the baby to be attached to the mother and since they spend more time together. Breastfeeding to the mother also helps as a contraceptive because during the period of breastfeeding, there's no ovulation. Ovulation is stopped. Ovulation being the process whereby an egg is released from the ovary waiting for fertilization. Breastfeeding helps to reduce the risk of bleeding after birth. The bleeding is stopped because the uterus is contracted during exclusive breastfeeding. And breastfeeding also helps to manage postpartum anxiety and stress.
Beneficial to both the newborn and the mother, it also necessitates proper recommendations for the well-being of the mother and the child. WHO and UNICEF recommend that breastfeeding should begin within the first hour of birth and continue through the first 6 months of the child's life, meaning no other foods or liquids are provided, including water.
The World Health Organization recommends that every child be breastfed exclusively for a period of 6 months, and then we can practice mixed breastfeeding to the age of 2 years by adding and breast substitute. And then this breastfeeding, it requires that a baby should be breastfed 8 to 12 times a day with an interval of 2 to 4 hours within each feeding, because the baby spends averagely 20 to 40 minutes on the breast milk, and you can also generally babies spend 5 to 45 minutes on the breast milk, and this time spent on breast milk depends on the amount of milk that flows until the baby gets the required nutrient he needs before the mother can actually remove the baby from the breast. So it depends on the quantity of breast milk that is flowing during her period of her session of breastfeeding. Mommies need to drink a lot of water, a lot of vegetables, and also they need to press their breast from time to time, like to activate the breast milk production. If you want the breast to flow more, you need to put the baby on the breast more often, because the suction of the baby on the breast milk really activates the secretion of prolactin. The prolactin will then go now and make more breast milk to be produced. That's why a breastfeeding mother exclusively, she will tend to be increasing the number of breast milk she can produce throughout the time, so as to satisfy her growing child, which has a higher breast milk demand.
Breast milk substitutes used as a way to replace breast milk is not recommended. Breast milk contains enough nutrients and antibodies required for the baby's development. With some exceptional circumstances, like a parent with HIV can breastfeed exclusively by avoiding mixing breast milk with formula.
Breast milk substitutes, first of all, it's any food that is partially or totally replaced with breast milk, even if it's required or not. Breast milk substitute in the first day of birth is not really good, because the baby's digestive canal is still too fragile, and so it requires breast milk from the mother. And actually, breast milk does not flow in the first hour of birth. The reason we put the child on breast milk at the first hour of birth is to activate the reflex of suction, which can be lost during the first day of birth, and the baby will not be able to breastfeed. So when we put the baby on the mother's nipple, is to activate that reflex of suction. Breast milk substitute being used as a way to replace breast milk is actually not recommended, because breast milk has, like I said, the right amount of antibodies and the right amount of nutrients which the baby needs for its development. These breast milk substitutes, sometimes they cause allergic conditions on the baby. Some of them cause constipation, runny nose, and some of them even might cause some wounds on the digestive canal of the baby. Therefore, you also said that which conditions will the mother not be allowed to breastfeed. We always think that mothers who are HIV positive should not breastfeed, but that's not the case, because mothers who are HIV positive can actually breastfeed their children exclusively. I repeat, exclusively, because if you mix the breast milk with other breast milk substitutes like formula, you're going to cause allergic wounds in the alimentary canal of your baby, and then at the next breastfeeding session, the breast milk that will be entering, the viruses will now have a pathway to enter into the baby's bloodstream. And so mothers who are HIV positive can breastfeed for even the period of 6 months, and the babies will be very fine, but they should not mix with formula. It should not mix with formula. It should not mix with formula, like I said. And formula feeding also causes a lot of allergic conditions on the baby. And the baby is exposed to type 1 and 2 diabetes, is exposed to pneumonia, is exposed to even some sort of cancer.
Breastfeeding is for the interest of the child. A child should be breastfed exclusively for the first 6 months, and that continues with mixed breastfeeding till he gets 2 years. Women should not have to choose between breastfeeding their children and their work. Breastfeeding support should be made possible regardless the work.
They can express breast milk by using either a breast pump or using their hands to press the breast milk. And then this breast milk now can be stored at room temperature for up to 4 hours. Imagine a woman goes to work, it can be stored for 4 hours and the baby can take it, no problem. But if it's stored in the refrigerator, it can be stored for up to 4 days in the refrigerator. And in a deep freezer, breast milk that is expressed can be stored for up to 6 months and it still be good. So what happens is that when she goes to work now, the breast milk that she has expressed, when the baby is hungry, we remove the breast milk, put in a bowl containing warm water so that the breast milk reaches the required temperature. Within 1 to 2 minutes, the baby can have his breast milk ready. Expressing breast milk remains the main solution to breastfeeding for mothers who are working. But then also when she comes back from work, she needs to check on her child and not just abandon the child with the baby nanny and all the stuff. So the mothers who are working need to take responsibility over their children for the few time that they're at home. they need to make that impact to be felt, and they need to increase the bond between the child, because it's not all about keeping the milk. You can still keep the milk and your baby, and you come back, your baby takes the milk, but there will not be the bond between mother and baby. So the mothers need to value the short time they spend with their children, so as to make the baby not to feel the absence that much. Actually, a child that is breastfed exclusively is very different from a child fed on formula. Some studies show that children who are exclusively breastfed have a higher intelligence quotient than children who are fed on formula. Children who are exclusively breastfed tend to fall sick very rarely because their immune system is very strong. Thereby, any disease that comes, the child is very strong to fight the disease than the child that was fed on formula. And children fed on formula used to develop a lot of risks like obesity, diabetes, and some allergies during that development, which is not the case with the baby that is exclusively breastfed. A baby that is exclusively breastfed has a brain development that is really good, and he tends to learn faster than babies who are fed on formula.
What if men were to help to assure adequate breastfeeding? What will be their own role?
Yeah, men actually have a vital role to play in breastfeeding. Men have to support their wives during the process of breastfeeding, because some men just abandon the task to their wives, and they go to work, they come back, they sleep, and the mother gets up at night breastfeeding, the man is sleeping and snoring. It's not really good, because men have to play a role in breastfeeding by assisting the wife in the house chores. That he can help to clean the house and do all the other works that the mother was supposed to do, so that she focuses on breastfeeding the child at least for the first 6 months, so that that baby will be strong and grow normally. So my advice to these men who think that breastfeeding is just a woman's thing: breastfeeding is not just for the woman. Men also play a very important role in the breastfeeding process.
Also considered as the first vaccine for children, the beauty of this is the bond between the mother and the child during breastfeeding period.